Hey, thanks for watching this video. I just want to let you know beforehand that over-the-wire topics that were done in this project have been already addressed in a video that I made before this, so if you're wanting to learn more about that, you can go check it out. The link's in the description below. You don't have to watch that one before you watch this one, but it might be a good resource just to get a better understanding of what we've done. Now, on to the main video. Before we begin, I just wanted to put some notes out there so it kind of alleviates any confusion on what this project's actually about. This project was done to address what we don't know and try to fill the gaps we have in our knowledge that our education has left us, so that when we're out in the workforce, we are able to feel comfortable with our skills and our knowledge and our experiences that should be able to make an impact once we're out there. Second, we weren't as much researching as we were just trying to learn. We were just trying to get some skills out there that was more than what we had, and for the ones that we chose topics that we didn't really have any. So it was just gaining knowledge, not really trying to find the best technique to do what we don't know, etc., etc. Lastly, we were just trying to gain experience. We weren't trying to become experts. This isn't a deep dive into one of these topics. This is just us trying to figure out the basics so we can say that we have it under our belts and that we're able to do it, we've had experience with it before, and that we can be asked to do it again without a substantial amount of help. So what we did for the first half of our project was the Over-the-Wire Wargames Bandit, which is just a series of challenges. There are levels, you just go in and all you have to do is find the key to the next level to be able to advance. However, each level is going to have different types of challenges as well as different layouts inside of them. So every new area you SSH into, you have a new layout where you're going to have to figure out what you need to do to get the key. And of course, it's going to give you like a little bit of a prompt for what you need to be able to do to solve that challenge. However, it should be all good, and if you can't figure it out, it does give you resources of where you can go to find the tools to use. The next part that we did was malwaretrafficanalysis.net. It's a really great blog that's out here on the internet, and it has a lot of information on here, and I think it's really useful for people in the cybersecurity field to at least get introduced to the world of malware analysis on your network. There are a bunch of exercises that he provides here to be able to do. Ever since he started his blog, he's been adding new ones almost monthly, and included in them are the PCAPs from Wireshark, as well as all of the information for the network that's being analyzed and the names, and then he tasks you with finding certain pieces of information as well as trying to find what type of malware is in the system. And he also has resources, some that he's written himself, some that he's taken from other places, that tells you the best ways to find out like what type of malware is on the system, as well as what type of filters to put into Wireshark. And of course, he provides all of the answers to all of the problems that he puts out there, with enabling the user to be able to work on their own and then be able to give them a clear and concise explanation. I think it's a really good resource, and this is why we chose to do this for the second half of our project. It has specific examples out of the Wireshark packet captures, and it has specific goals that you should be looking for, and is able to elaborate on why the answer is what the answer is. And I think that's really useful to just anybody out there who's trying to get a hang of how to use Wireshark correctly. Alright, so we're here to talk about our second half of our assignment with the malware traffic analysis. Why don't you start by saying what exercises that you were doing for it?
My exercises included the Spraylene, Tin Solutions, and OK Boomer. Essentially, all of these exercises required an analyzation of a PCAP file and possibly some other associated files to find information about malware.
I did the Oh No's torrents on our network and Ice Maiden. The thought they were pretty solid. You did a few more than I did, but I think they're all pretty much the same, just different types of networks and different information in each of them. What were you able to get out of yours? What'd you learn?
I definitely learned how to use Wireshark more efficiently. I feel like that was lightly touched on in any of the courses we've ever taken. These exercises also really forced me to use my critical thinking skills because if you don't have a lot of base knowledge, you could go down a rabbit hole and not find what you're supposed to be looking for. And that could essentially take your whole day just doing one exercise.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's just an incredible amount of information that you can get from Wireshark, and that having the ability to analyze it effectively saves a lot of time. Knowing what to put in there, being able to find the filter that's going to work for you to get you the information that you need the quickest, so you can know where to look and know where to like. I guess how you say do your job. Going into this, it was kind of a mystery, kind of what to expect. I didn't have like any picture of that. So whenever I got in there, it was just kind of I'll mess around a bit, see what I can do on my own. Eventually, I just had to like go to his lessons because I wasn't able to use the filters.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that I would be able to just like jump right in, but that was not the case at all.
Yeah, it do be like that sometimes. What is one of the pieces of knowledge that you thought would have been the most helpful going into this? Like what from our education didn't you have going in?
Everything. I don't feel like any of my prior education helped me with any of these exercises, except like a very, very basic understanding of what Wireshark is and what it can do.
Yeah, you know what a PCAP is without having to look that up. Like what's a packet capture? Huh?
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, the only stuff that I'd done with this, like in our classes, was just like on a controlled network, and it was like my own activity that I was looking at. And whenever I was looking at somebody else's activity, trying to figure out like what the heck was going on, that was just like a big adjustment. Whenever I got in there, like not knowing like the filters that I needed to find, just like get all of the right information on my screen was like a big deal just to start with. If I had like I guess known more about what I needed to look for first, that would have been a bit helpful. But like this dude did a really good job with his tutorials on like explaining what we needed to use where to be able to get the information that we needed. So what did you think about the resources there?
Oh, they're super helpful. I don't think we've ever like gone over how to search for malware within Wireshark and using packets like that in class. So all of that was like brand new information.
The just looking at the activity and trying to figure out what type of malware it was because it did this, this, and this. It's just something we didn't do. We were just like, look at this, see if we can get his info in plain text. Cool, but that's not really a practical situation in the world today, or not something that most businesses have to worry about or anything. And then, what was like the biggest thing you took away from this?
I think my biggest takeaway was how powerful of a tool Wireshark actually is. Since we've never really used it like that in our prior courses, I didn't even know it could do everything that we used and like we could use it for in this exercise. Like I had no idea.
Everything that happens on it, you can see with Wireshark is kind of crazy. Just knowing that like you can find IOCs just through Wireshark too, something that I thought was like kind of important and probably pretty crucial in the real world if you're like log monitoring. This is exactly what they're looking for. All right, so just moving on to the project as a whole, over the wire and malware traffic analysis. All semester, what we've done. Did you have fun?
Absolutely. A lot more fun than any of my other courses just because I felt like I was actually learning something in this class.
Yeah, we were
Um
doing the work on our own instead of having it like spoon fed to us. But yeah,
uh I mean, I understand why the other classes are important. Like the theory that we learned in those classes laid down like an important foundation, but most of those courses lacked any practical skills. So I just felt like this class was uh it was better for practicing skills we could use in the future.
It being like all hands on instead of like no theory was very good for like the first half or the over the wire. That literally only being everything is the result of what you do. You have to go find the answers yourself. It was just a different experience from like the classroom, but I still think it was a really good tool, and we still learned quite a bit. What about an internship? If you would have had one of those,
I think it's difficult to replace any real world experience like an internship with like any type of course, even though this course was very hands on. But I do think that this course was a lot more valuable than a lot of my other ones, just because it was so much more hands on than our like traditional courses. But yeah, this one definitely brought more value than any of my other classes this past semester.
I mean, there's like nothing job specific in this, but just overall, I think the amount of like learning new things that we did from this was just
Yeah.
as good. And now that we have all of this stuff under our belt, we can say that hey, we've done it, we've had experience with it, and I think it was a good supplement, but it wasn't the same. It was like bargain brand internship, which I mean I guess is kind of what the class was about. What was your favorite part of this project?
I really enjoyed the over the wire challenges just because I could get through that. Like it was like instant gratification getting through those. And then the malware analysis exercises, they took a lot longer than the over the wire challenges. Uh it just required me just because we didn't have like the foundational knowledge to even start those. And I thought that I would be able to get through them quickly. And I was very wrong when I first attempted it.
I just kind of sat there and had to like just look stuff up the entire time. But I think overall, I still enjoyed it more than I enjoyed the malware traffic analysis. Like, sure, it's more practical, but I think just going in there and messing around with stuff and messing around
Yeah.
with the commands and over the wire was probably the most fun part. And I mean, the learning was just designed to be like a game, anyways, and games are fun. That's why they exist, is to have fun. Um, if we did a project like this again, not necessarily the same thing, how open would you be to learning like these soft technical skills like on your own here?
I would for sure like to do something like this again. Like I said earlier, what I've learned in these classes is I find more valuable than what I've learned in most of my traditional classes.
I think it was a good example of ways that you can improve yourself, but also it was just a fun thing to do to spend our time on. Just a project as a whole. I think that's kind of what it should be. We accomplished our goal and we did it. I'm pretty sure we did it efficiently. I think we made good time on it. Didn't waste too much for the amount that we learned. With this designed to be learning per class period as well. And even in a situation like we are now, where we have to do online classes and do everything from home, it was still a good way to get the same education, I guess you could put this as we would have had we done it somewhere else, like on campus or something. So, in summary, how would you describe this project?
This project, I mean, we chose it to widen our skills and what we felt like we lacked from the current curriculum, which is not very good. But I think the project as a whole, the whole point was to learn a bunch of new skills. And I think that we did that. We achieved that with the things that we chose to do.
I thought it was good, and it helped us brush up on the IT skills that we can use like in the workforce. Um, just as a whole, I think just setting ourselves out there to learn something and from beginning to end finishing that, I think was a pretty successful version of the project, and I think it's what we imagined it to be. So that's a semester. We're done here.